This is War Room Moments, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and most relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. War Room Moments is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board. Here's your host, Jason Miller.
Thank you for joining us today on War Room Moments. Today I have Cesar with us today. Cesar and I have known each other for, has it been a whole year?
Couple.
Has it been a couple already?
It's been a couple already, yeah.
Wow, holy crap. Well, anyway, Cesar and I have known each other for a couple of years, and he does some really, really good stuff that I want you to hear about and then also take some advice from in your company as well. Cesar, welcome to the show, and why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what your superpower is?
Well, if I had known that, I would have worn my cape, right? I mean, no. So, yeah, Cesar Teague, and I'm based in San Francisco. And so I do really a number of things. You know, sales and marketing consulting is typically the area that I've been doing. I've been in that field pretty much all my career. And so typically these days I'm helping small business owners, startup founders, struggling with, challenge certainly with just getting this consistent sales meetings, and getting enough, prospects in front of enough prospects, getting out enough proposals, how that whole thing goes. And so that's typically what I've been focusing on, lately. And so that's where I can potentially, help and support folks in.
Yeah, great. Well, that's a great segue into, the conversation around sales in companies, the marketing coupled with sales, appointments coupled with sales, all these different things and these topics of discussion, because you and I know that you can have a great advertising front end and a really bad sales process, and it doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah.
So, I guess what I would like you to really talk about is what trends are you seeing, and what are the things you're seeing with the people that you're working with and helping in kind of going down that vein?
Yeah. So a lot of the work, I've done some work with companies you've heard of, like Silicon Valley Bank and Credit Karma, and helping them with their onboarding and a lot of sales enablement work. And so I should specify that a lot of the work I'm doing really revolves around this area of sales enablement, right? And even that nomenclature came up about 7 years ago. But it's really around what are the tools people are using, what's some of the training they have in place to, help grow their team, the sales team, right? And any customer-facing team. It could be customer success, it could be the SDRs, BDRs, AEs, what have you. And certainly on the transformational coaching piece, how are we supporting people on a one-on-one basis to help them to close individual gaps? So that's what I mean by sales enablement. So the trend is that sales enablement has been exploding. As companies grow, they're adding more and more this role into place because they're realizing we need to support the team better. We need to do a better job of supporting everybody that's customer facing, because then that will certainly will help them on board better, certainly reduce the turnover. It's no secret that there's that great resignation going on up there. And of course, we already heard about how people leave their managers, not companies, et cetera. Well, yes, but what are we doing to continually support them? Because a lot of the younger folks that are coming into various roles, believe it or not, money isn't at the top of the list for them in terms of importance. It's how are we helping them learn and grow, and how are we supporting to do that? So that's one area to consider for sure. And the other is if you're an entrepreneur like I am, like we are, a business owner, you're wearing multiple hats, which means that there's a lack of focus somewhere along the line. And so my job is to help folks to focus on in particular, the area I'm talking about, which is on accelerating their sales piece, and how do you do that? And so that's a little bit of what some of the work I'm doing.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious as to what, like, can you give some examples of how you're helping accelerate that when it comes to drop a gold nugget on us, brother? One.
Yeah.
Right?
No, well, it's like definitely, and I'm talking about the focus piece, because if you're running a business, you're distracted. You may not have people dedicated to do certain aspects of the sales and outreach process, I should say. I mean, marketing is good. I don't have anything against running, ad campaigns, whether it be Google ads, LinkedIn ads, etc. But it's not something that I'm focused on, right? That's more of inbound. Mine is more outbound. And so what's really worked, there's a lot of noise going on these days, in all the different channels that people are, where we can reach people. And so it's becoming a little bit more crowded and increasingly noisy. But nevertheless, the gold nugget is, if you want to see or have success in terms of the outreach efforts that you're putting in, you really have to do the Manny Pacquiao 1, 2, 3 punch approach. I mean, I just can't put it any better than that, because you have to have the channels, and what we're really focusing on is really doing, emailing, then we're doing phoning, and then we're doing LinkedIn messaging. So that's what I mean by having the 3 channels. You can't just do 1 or 2. You have to have all 3, as far as to make it click and work in order to reach your ICP, your ideal client persona that you're targeting. So having that in place is very important. And of course, the messaging that you're using when you do your outreach, in terms of the email, the phone, and the LinkedIn, is also very important as to what you're saying, because the secret is not a secret anymore. You still have to have, targeting the right people. You have to have the right messaging, and then you have to have the right value proposition or offer to make it work, right? So in those areas is where you need to polish it up in order to get better results, and that's some of the work we're doing on that.
Right. Well, I'd be curious as your opinion on, when we're talking about all these different platforms and them being, really crowded, and you've got people trying to do all of them, like Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, all these different things. Is there a such thing as too much, in your opinion? And I guess how as a business owner do you decide what is the best platforms to use, right?
Yes, and it's a good question. I think there are so many tools. You just have to understand who's your target ICP, your ideal client persona that you're going after. And for me, I can tell you, we're typically targeting director levels and up, directors, VPs, certainly some C levels as well, CROs in particular, chief revenue officers, and CMOs, chief marketing officers, right? And so they're not going to be on some of those platforms. I think that I'm not using Facebook at all. I'm not for business. I'm on it sometimes, maybe once a week personally, but from a business perspective, you do have a lot of folks, right, that are responding that's why we're focusing on, like I said, those 3 areas of the emailing, phoning, and LinkedIn, because the responses are good there. Also, there's the potential for like Instagram. So it looks like there's more and more activity starting to happen on Instagram. Now, the age group of that, it started off being more like, I think, in the 20s or teens to 20s, but I think that's expanding now. So you have people that are beyond that, that group or those groups. But yes, if you're trying to do too many of those things, then again, you're not focusing, because if your clients aren't on there, there's no point throwing money at a place where your ideal client persona is not going to be. And so I should mention that if you want to grow fast as a small business, you need to work with companies that are also growing fast. And so typically we're targeting mainly mid-market companies, mid-market size companies that are growing pretty quickly. I'm talking about those that have 100 to 1,000 people. and they're scaling fast. So naturally, if you're riding on that bandwagon, you're going to grow pretty quickly too. But then you need to scale your efforts as well. So then how do you do that reasonably? And so that's some of the areas that I'm working in. And so how do we help? We can help you scale, because in essence, you're outsourcing some of that work to me, to us, to help you accelerate your sales. That's where we come in for that, as far as helping you to focus.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that ideal client is, taking that and like framing that out down to a T is super important. And then knowing where they sit, where do they hang out, right? Where do they hang out online? And then targeting those platforms for sure.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, hey, that great information, and I hope people took some of there was plenty of little nuggets in there. If you didn't get them, go back and watch it again. But anyway, so one thing, as we talked before we hit record, was, I'm really trying to focus a lot of this with sharing value, plus being able to help our up and coming generations not have to take the same arrows in the back that we did, right? So, what is a struggle that you went through in your earlier business days that you went through, and then you went through that process to, overcome it?
Sure. No, I mean, I think any entrepreneur is going to be faced with that struggle like I face, which is really that lack of focus, right? So you're juggling working in your business and working on your business. So they're two different things, right? And so we're constantly trying to juggle this, and I certainly try to do that. And I realize that there's some areas that I'm not particularly good in, or I don't want to be, or maybe patient in. I don't want to be spending my time doing, the grunt work. Like in my case, doing the grunt work of the outreach. I like talking to people. I like getting on the line with them and getting in front of them. But, if it takes 50 dials, and 100 emails and all this, and by the time you do all that, you're going to be exhausted. So when you do get in front of the person that you're trying to reach, you're burnt out, and so the idea is to focus, right? And so, what I quickly realized is that I needed people to help me work, on my business, and let them do the grunt work, so that I'm polished and ready to go when I'm able to talk to them about my business, meaning working in my business. So That's really what it took me a while to really, I know it sounds so simple, right? But it's not easy. And so trying to make that work is what took a while, and having the systems and processes in place for also managing that and keeping track of that, so that I'm not talking about the 4-hour work week either, because, I don't know, I'm only working half days myself, 12 hours a day. So it's like, it's like you got to focus. And so that's what I learned. And so I then, realized that, I need some help in outsourcing these aspects of the folks to help them work, on my business, so that I can be focused on working in my business. And so I decided to take that, run with it. And then that's essentially what I'm doing now, and helping people work on their business through this Accelerate Sales service that I have created.
Yeah. The power of team is very explosive, right?
Exactly.
The second you add a team into anything, it just explodes, right? And especially from the CEO seat, right? Where, like you said, you're wearing all these hats and you're the COO, the vice president, the CMO, the whatever MO, the Mo.
IT, CTO, the IT person,
Right, you're all
what is it today? It's like putting out fires. So you gotta figure out how to leverage your time and leverage other people's talents and skills to help you, because then it becomes a win-win approach, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And we all go through that. There's not one person. I would have to say there probably isn't. If there are, they're unicorns, right? That went through the process of starting, building a business that didn't go through that, right?
Of course.
And the whole point here is you don't have to. You can do it right the first time. And it's just, you only know what you know, right?
Exactly. And it depends how fast you want to accelerate and scale. Because
sure.
Absolutely.
You bet. Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, thanks for all that, Cesar. And in kind of closing things out here, I always like to ask this question. If you could have picked somebody to be here today with us today that you could ask a burning question on your mind, mentor, friend, whoever that might be, dead or alive, who would that be and what would you ask them?
So I like, I've attended some workshops in the past with Anthony Robbins. He has the Robbins companies. Mm-hmm. And what I didn't realize is that, and I say this because a client of mine went to attend one of his business mastery courses recently, and he really loved it. And I've taken people to some of his other events as well. So, but I didn't realize it. He's got like over 160 companies.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So the question I would ask is that, we're talking about scaling and working on your business versus in your business, but 160 companies. That's at a different level. And so I would ask, how do you manage all that?
Yeah, right?
Well, wow. Of course, there's more conversations to be had. How did you grow them? And then how do you manage them? Because you're essentially duplicating your efforts, what I talked about earlier, as far as, outsourcing some of it and focusing on what you're best at and having other people, right, leveraging them, the teams, etc. But then how do you scale that to 160 companies? A, and B, where do you find time to relax?
Yeah, right. How do you even keep your finger on that pulse with that many companies? That's
right. You have to have a process in place. There's a process for everything, right? Just like cooking. And so you got to have the process in place for what's the reporting process, what are your, the numbers look like as far as what's good, what's not good. And that way, what then to focus on, because you've got 160 reports. Where do you go? Right. So that's why my burning question was, how do you do it?
Yeah, right.
I'm sure there's going to be some
one hell of a business dashboard to log into.
That's
I doubt it. I doubt that exists.
Yeah.
Well, hey, great. Well, Cesar, how do people get a hold of you to work with you and be able to be a part of what you got going on?
Yeah, welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. Cesar Teague is the name. Awesome. So you can visit that and take a look and then get in touch from there. There's a way to, obviously book time and all that, but happy to help, and certainly I don't charge anything for my time up front, so awesome. Happy to see how I can support. I do a lot of volunteer work right now. I do at the San Francisco Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. And then I also recently joined the ICA Fund, which is mainly focused for entrepreneurs in the San Francisco Bay Area. They're based in Oakland. So as a mentor and advisor. So happy to, just brainstorm a bit. I really enjoy that and welcome to reach out anytime.
Awesome. Well, hey, Cesar, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here and taking the time out of your day. I know we all it's 40 minutes out of your day, and I appreciate you coming here and spending this time with me.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for tuning into this episode of War Room Moments. And always remember, dream it, believe it, and then go achieve it. Jason Miller, your podcast host, signing out.